In this video, I want to talk about oar length again. A lot of you are out there looking to buy oars and get oars, and I understand you can't test them out. You have to just sort of trust what people say online. And I have a lot of opinions based on my own experience from teaching other people and watching what they do that I want to share with you if you want to accept what I think about oar length, my opinions about it. And the quick answer is you take the distance between the oar locks. So from oar lock to oar lock, you take that distance and you multiply it by 1.63. And that's a great starting point for your oar length. Now you may have bigger tubes, you may be taller, longer torso. You may have a lot of other reasons why you might want to have longer, shorter oars. Those things have a small effect. The number one biggest effect by far is the distance between your oar locks. And a lot of people who sell oars will say, no, you want to take that distance, divide by 2 and multiply by 3, which is the same as multiplying by 1.5. And I've noticed over and over and over that people have oars that are too short. Now what happens is they set the oars up and they realize they need their oar out further so the blade can touch the water, and then their handles are too wide. I see them rowing like this. That's not good rowing, really wide out. You want to be in like you're doing a push-up. You want to be pretty close. So I've just seen over and over and over people have used that 1.5, which again is multiplied by 3, divide by 2. It's the same as multiplying by 1.5. And their oars are consistently too short. I'm going to say multiply by 1.63. And this is empirical. I've just measured a ton of oars out there and just seen the people who are the best at rowing, commercial boaters, just solid rowing is generally 1.63. Now, if you want to add half a foot, take off half a foot, do it. I add half a foot all the time. I usually run longer because my oar management's really good and I want the power. And I also have strong shoulders. If you have weak shoulders, you don't want to handle all that power on your shoulders, or your oar management's not very good, or whatever reason you want to, take off half a foot, it's fine. But a great starting point is 1.63 and not 1.5. The next thing though is, where do we put the oar stop? How much of the oar is inboard and how much is outboard? How much of the oar is inside the oar, inboard here, inside the oar tower, and how much is out here? And a lot of people who come up with that 1.5, again, multiply by 3, divide by 2, they use the 1/3, 2/3. They say put 1/3 in, 2/3 out. That is a gross approximation. I'm pretty sure that is completely made up. And if you go out there and you measure oars of commercial guides, of badass boaters, of super experienced boaters, it's not 1/3, 2/3. That's just a made up, it sounds good sort of thing that people have done in the past. It turns out there's less than 1/3 on the inside and more than 1/3 on the outside. There's actually an 11/27 ratio that I think is pretty ideal, which basically says you have 29% inside and 71% on the outside. Now, again, this doesn't be perfect. You can do more or less based on your own needs, but I'm going to say the dumb way to do this is this 1/3, 2/3, which is 33% inside, inboard, 66.6% outboard. I'm going to say a smarter, more correct way to do it is have 29% on the inside and 71% on the outside. Now, if your oars are too short, you're going to have to do this dumb thing. That's why getting your oar length correct to begin with is so important. And what happens is what you really do want, and again, I'm giving you what I think based on my opinions, my experience, my observing tons of people. When you bring your oars down, you want them to touch or almost touch. Like down here, you want those handles like maybe an inch between. You want them to touch or just almost touch. You don't want too much space. And people say, well, if you do that, your thumbs are going to hit each other. And that's possible. One option is don't put your thumbs on the end of your oars, put them down like this, but you don't row like this, you row like that. And when you bring your oars up, then they're perfectly spaced to give you good ergonomics, like you're doing a push-up. And so your oars actually, your handles are well spread out. If they start down here, they're well spread out when they come up here. Hopefully that diagram makes sense. So like this, you want it set up like that, but you're rarely like that on the, where you push and then you pull back, they come like that, and they touch or almost touch, but you quickly spread them out again. So just to sum this all up, there's a lot of people out there saying this 1/3, 2/3 rule. And I just think it's absolute nonsense. It is a starting point, but a better starting point based on what people who are really good are actually doing is what I'm going to call the 11/27 ratio. You want 11 inside, 27 on the outside, which is a weird ratio, so you don't have to follow those numbers. Just know you want about 71% on the outside and about 29% on the inside based on your ore being 1.63 times the distance between the ore locks. Now, if you do a little bit longer ores, this might be different. If you do a little bit shorter ores, that might be different. These are guidelines. But start with your ore length. Again, 1.63 times the distance between the ore locks, plus or minus half a foot. And then go for something in this region. Don't do this. I'm going to call that dumb. I don't think you should do that. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to put a link down below to an article I wrote about this that I think kind of sums it all up and maybe explains it better than I just did on the video. And if you have thoughts, you want to tell me your opinions. If you think I'm an idiot, I'm wrong, put it in the comments. I love hearing I'm an idiot, I'm wrong. That's how I get better. That's how I learn. If nobody tells me I'm an idiot, I'm going to be super cocky in the next video, and you don't want that. So please tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. If you tell me that I'm right, get ready for me to be very arrogant in the future. So that's your decision. Anyway, thanks for watching as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.